Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Gonna give a couple more minutes that people join in. Hope everyone is doing all right. Can anyone hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you good.
Okay, great. Let's see. All right, so today's class is an open discussion. And then in the second half, we will finish up a chakra system diagram and move on to the karma diagram. Get those queued up really quick. Okay, so if you guys remember from last week, we finished up, too big. Yeah, that's too big. So we finished up the left hand of the diagram where we looked at the psychic centers, going up Sushumna and reading the descriptions of that. We touched on specifically the heart, throat, Christ, and the crown centers. We also looked at the centers in the palms. We talked about the prana universal life force and the dormant kundalini as it blocks in the doorway to Sushumna in its dormant state. Today we will finish up on this right hand side talking about the active flow of kundalini. And then we'll also examine this picture here, which details the flow of the different flows of the various pranas, so the 5 major pranas, Udana, Prana, Samana, Dhyana, and Apana, and how they flow throughout the auric structure and specifically the bodies. And we'll also spend some time explaining the difference between these two black arrows here, one talking of evolution and the other talking of involution. And once we finish up with that diagram and address any questions that are generated from it, we'll move on to the karma yoga diagram. Again, these are in the shared folder. And we'll talk about how all the yogas are intertwined into Nana and Karma Yoga. We'll look at their relationships and we'll examine why they're put in this, they're all linked together in this diagram and the reasoning and rationale behind it. And if we're able to get through that, then we'll move on to the karmic framework of creation diagram. This one's 4 pages. There's 4 diagrams in this one. And I believe this will take us a couple of weeks to go through, but there's a lot of information here. So hopefully everyone can review it and bring up some questions so that in the subsequent open discussions and classes, we can generate some good conversation and discourse. on this topic. I know we've had a lot of questions about the law of karma and its relation to ourselves and to the universe in the past. So I think this will help a lot of us develop a deeper understanding of this subject and better navigate our lives through our evolution. So are there any questions so far? You can type your questions in the chat, or you can use the raise hand feature, and I'll go ahead and see you. A couple more minutes for everyone to join us.
On. Welcome to All Tech Lansing.
Right, welcome on YouTube. Okay, Divine, I'll post the link for the Zoom in the chat. Just give me a second. Let me grab that. Okay, Jack, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hello. Yeah, I have a question related to the law of karma. I was listening to one of the Aetherius tapes, and it says that Dr. King says that the Master Aetherius actually helped write the law of karma. And I was wondering how that, if we could go into a bit more detail about that.
What lecture or what lecture tape that was?
That's a good question. I have to check. I don't remember at the moment. I think it was talking of, no, the sorter is among us. That was it. Yeah.
The sorter is among us.
Yeah. And the Aetherius Society is one of the sorters. And if you don't take this opportunity to serve the Aetherius Society and to join Operation Prayer Power, you're limiting yourself. You're not taking advantage of this karmic opportunity, and that you should. The Master Aetherius has said that this is even adepts or anyone should even to ascend. You have to take part in Operation Prayer Power, and he knows because he helped write the actual draft the law of karma. So
yeah, that's referring to the Earth's karma. The laws that govern the Earth's, the karma of mankind on Earth, and probably the solar system as well. That's what they were referring to. Because remember, I told you that a master or cosmic masters, they are devatars. So they carry out the law of karma. So they never make a move without without karmic permission. So the same way the devas work on the basic karma of man and animal, help them to achieve their karmic position. Well, it's the same way with the cosmic masters. When they reach ascension, they become devatars, which are higher, which become the higher scheme of the laws of karma, which they never work out. Every move they make is within the law of karma, so that they don't do what we call evil.
So is the law of karma, so it's not drafted in the way that we understand a law is drafted, that, you can add things and take away things. And
in other words, they have the ability to see the law, to understand the law and translate the law for other life streams they cannot see and understand the law. So they become the facilitators of the law for the lower life streams below them. So, I mean, that's what all this is about. The word yoga means to unite yourself with God. So when you become a master or a cosmic master or an avatar or devata, you are uniting yourself with the will of God. So therefore, you walk, directly in the light and pathway of God, meaning that you're only a progressive energy, not an energy that creates obstacle. Unless it's absolutely necessary, which the great cosmic beings avoid that because they are strategic in their movement. You understand what I'm saying? Do you get it?
yeah. So they don't actually write the law, because the law of God, karma is God, but they can create initiatives and to put in front of us tasks that will aid our karmic pattern.
Right. I mean, they write in the law for us. They write in a narrow piece of the law for us to guide us.
Like you do with children, like when you have a child and you're in charge of that child, you
Right.
write the law for that.
Right. So that's what that's what they're referring to, because of because here you have a race of people that's responsible for destroying a logos of a planet called Melda by Dr. George King. Here you have a race of people that destroyed Lemurius, according to the mystic ancient teachings. Here you have a race of people that destroyed Atlantis. Over 18,600,000 years, they destroyed three major civilizations of theirs. So it brought into focus a special karmic pattern that needs to be answered by a law that defines what our next move should be. That's why in all your Bibles, in all your Bibles on earth, it talks about war and destruction. Why does it talk about war and destruction? Because it's showing you your past actions and what you did and what you should not do. So, I mean, look at it. In the Torah, it's all about wars. It's all about different conflicts. The Holy Bible, which is a copy of the Torah, is the same thing. The Vedas, that's way before the Torah, it talks about war and conflict. The Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishad, it's all talking about war. Think about it. It's talking about this conflict, this war, because why? Because that's been our history. So what it does, it brings the cosmic beings that come here and try to guide us. They bring this into focus so that we can see what to do and what not to do. Not to entertain us, but to let us know these are your actions, and you should change your actions. You should move away from war and think about peace. Think about being nonviolent. So that's the law that they're talking about, a law that governs our actions, because our actions are unique within the galaxy.
Unique within the galaxy.
Yeah, that's what we're told.
Wow.
Because because the human race is a race of people that destroyed the gross physical body of a logos, of a planet. And now we have something called the asteroid belt within the solar system that's bringing down great cosmic havoc on all the planets of the solar system. You can map out the explosions of those asteroids falling on almost every planet in the solar system. So we have a unique karmic pattern, and it has taken the cosmic beings all these centuries to help stabilize this. Think about it. The Lord sent a Kamara, according to the ancient teachings, came here 18,641,000 years before Jesus, and came in his full aspect, and then divided an aspect of his consciousness in 6 different bodies, cosmic bodies. And when he came here with 48 other cosmic beings. And then you had a call for around the galaxy. You had cosmic beings coming and ascending here on Earth and protecting the Earth from who? From the people who had just destroyed another planet. And that's why we have a strange history. That's why we have all these different species here on this Earth. That's why we have the different classification of life here on this Earth, because essentially we made this Earth a penny colony. And here we are trying to evolve, and here we are. We have other great cosmic beings who contribute themselves to try to help us evolve. And we set ourselves back over. We radiated the place. We spent the Earth on its axis a couple of times from our stupidity. We caused great havoc even on this Earth. We mutated the bodies that we are supposed to operate out of. I mean, we created a lot of havoc when you think about it.
It makes you feel bad.
You can go and read and study all this in the ancient books. It's there. It's there. Do you think it's strange that the universities of this country, for many years, they didn't allow Sanskrit teachings or to get out to the public? Because a lot of this stuff, a lot of the inventions that were coming, and inventions we haven't even got to, was written down in ancient books. They talked about flying vehicles. They talked about the distance from Earth to the sun, the Earth to all the different planets in the solar system. All of that was recorded. They talked about ancient societies with astronauts that visited these different planets. It's right there in the Vedas. You just got to go and look at it and study it. But now information is out there so much that they can't stop people from studying these type of teachings, and from seeing that this thing is ancient, is not as we think, as we would think it is. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much. Yeah, certainly gives you pause for thought. I had one follow-up question. I don't know. It doesn't really You know, it's not put in that perspective of the gigantic karmic debt we have. But I was just wondering about because Senate Kumar he made these bodies that we currently living through, as I've heard you say, and so we've gone through various bodies during that time, which you say we create for ourselves each time we're reborn. We build for ourselves. And I was just wondering about adept number 3, and that he's repeatedly incarnated through history as the world's the strongest man. How does that work? Why is he able to make a body when he is just a spirit and a soul? Why does he have like a better blueprint, or how come he manifests in the strongest body every time? Are we reborn with the same physical prowess every time?
No, that's his comic pattern. I mean, those are the lessons he have learned. So comically, he's not bound by reincarnation. He incarnates into the cycle of this earth and maybe other planets as well, if necessary. He's to my understanding, he's a galactic lord. He travels around the solar system and the galaxy doing missions to save different humanities. I think Dr. George King, he released some of the missions outside of this solar system that he actually went on. That the being we know as Hercules and Samson visited other planets and did similar jobs or whatever. They released a couple of those type of missions. I think you can go and research it. Okay. If you write me, I can give you the books or the pamphlets they wrote it in. Yeah, I mean, he's a galactic lord, so he, it's his comic pattern. He broke the wheel of rebirth probably millions of years ago. He broke the wheel of rebirth.
But when he was reborn into the cycle of this earth, did he lose his memory and he had to to rediscover who he was every time? Or
yeah, if you go back to the lessons on the four aspects of creation, you'll notice that that when you incarnate, you take a fraction of your consciousness to be incarnated in a fourth aspect body, which is the type body that we have, which is a conscious or energy conscious configuration that locks up most of the memory in a subconscious state and an unconscious state. We are conscious and unconscious and subconscious and supreme conscious all at the same time, or higher conscious all at the same time. But you only see through the conscious and slightly through the subconscious and unconscious, slightly through the unconscious state of mind at all times, depending on your level of development. You can walk into a room and all of a sudden you feel a certain thing. That's your subconscious mind relating back to many, many lifetimes experience that you had somewhere else. Some people call it deja vu, but it's your subconscious mind responding to what it knows. Your unconscious mind responds to the 5 other senses that you are not aware of. You're not aware of the in most cases of the senses of other senses in your body. You have 10 different senses. Some people say you have 11 senses, but the yogis identify 10 senses. 5 of those senses you are consciously aware of, and then another 5 that you are not consciously aware of. But your unconscious mind is aware of it, and your subconscious mind is aware of it. And sometimes it sends a signal to you of it reveals to you what it picked up, but in the unconscious, subconscious state, and we record that as instinct. So but when you have a great cosmic being with millions and millions of years of being totally aware in an ascendant body, controlling every aspect of their being, even when they subscribe, even when they take a fraction of their consciousness and place it in a fourth aspect body, they still have more awareness than what we do.
So they would still be drawn to. Do you think he had to do an adept number 2, like 10 years of yoga practice? They were drawn to do this.
Of course, he had the body mass that he placed around his conscious that he's working out of. He have to perfect that. He have to take it and develop it the same way we do. It's the same way, and it's not always 10 years of yoga. It might be 15, it might be 30 years of yoga.
But he would have been unconsciously drawn to do that.
Yeah.
Because of his. Yeah.
Yeah, but he would have had the power, the willpower to do that. And that's the difference, is that individual is awakened and they have the willpower to do what they need to do. It's just like certain people who are born here on earth, and they, from a child, they know what they need to do. They have a sense of a mission they need to perform, and they spend their whole life perfecting that. We see that in artists, we see that in engineers, we see that in even ministers, we see that in doctors, lawmakers. I mean, they spend, from a child, they had a sense of what they needed to do. Because why? Because they shaped their aura and the energy configuration with the karmic. They set up a karmic pattern that they need to complete whatever they started. And according to the mystic teachings, whatever we start, we need to complete it. And by doing that, we can avoid domino effects of wrong karmic actions. So that's a rule. Whatever you start, you must complete. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we've seen from Dr. King how incredible drive he had, and just had to happen in this life.
Yeah.
And I guess, they're just on another level. Even drunk, unconscious, drugs, they'd still just have concentration of willpower that we can only dream of, or I can only dream of. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Nima, something you're saying triggered a question. Say, even being great cosmic beings, when they take on a fourth aspect body to do a particular mission, are they always drawn to one of the yogic systems as a way to rapidly advance themselves and prepare for their mission?
Yeah, I mean, I believe so, because that is the yoga doesn't belong to any one specific religion. So even though they don't call it yoga, it's yoga. And that's one thing Dr. King tried to teach when he was here, that yoga doesn't belong to any religion. It's just that you have certain religions that, or certain, I don't even like calling them religions, but you have like the Hindu system or the Buddhist system that spent a lot of, and the Theosophical system that spent a lot of time describing and perfecting the knowledge of these systems for mankind. But it doesn't belong to the African race or the African religions, or it doesn't belong to the East Indian religions, you know, or the East Indian culture. It doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the world. I think the Tibetan that spoke through Alice Bailey in her books, in her teachings, he talked about the Lemurian civilization, which was mostly South America and Africa, because the continent was together at the time, and it was a race of black and brown skinned people at that time. There was no other type of people on Earth, and she spoke about the first major yoga that was given to mankind was the Hatha Yoga, of course, Jnana Yoga, Kama Yoga, and Hatha Yoga, and it was the black and brown skin type race, human race. There's only one race, but the body makes at that time, how she described it, were the black and brown, or how the Tibetan describe it from the spiritual hierarchy of Earth, was black and brown people. And that was the strongest body make at that time that Seneca Mara had pulled together, because it was able to harness and take the bombardment of the cosmic energies that was coming from the sun, because they had to adjust the energy that was coming from the sun. So they had to make strong bodies to allow that human race to actually absorb that energy without being born on the gross physical plane and just die. To my understanding, it took the human race spent several hundred thousand years on the astral planes before they can come to the gross planes, until the cosmic master was able to perfect that body type. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes. It's just kind of upsetting or just depressing when you think about even these great cosmic intelligences. You know, once they took up our type of body, they still had to spend many years in yoga practice before they were able to I guess achieve what we're here to achieve, and it's taking us hundreds of thousands of lives.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is sad. But another thing you can look at, and a lot of people don't recognize this, you can go back to the Torah, to the old scriptures. You have the new scriptures and the old scriptures of the Holy Bible, not the Jewish Bible necessarily, but because it's still talking about Jewish history. But you talk about, you look in there, and they talk about that it took 300 years preparation to allow the Master Jesus to be brought here to Earth and to be born through the family that he was born through. So, I mean, 300 years preparation. So, because he had a unique type birth, and he had a unique type mission at the time. They had to elevate the physical material that he had to come through Earth with, in a sense, if you understand what I mean. So that when he came, he didn't take on a lot of DNA of the wrong type of people. So, and the same thing with the Lord Buddha, and the same thing with the Lord Sri Krishna. And that's why there was so much mystery around their birth, so much significance. I mean, how they was born, and actually when each one of them came, they had to accept the Lord Buddha, because he was born into a royal family, so he had protection. But I'm sure it had to be an event, the fact that you had several cosmic motherships that came to make sure that everything went wrong. Well, I mean, went right, that nothing went wrong. In the case of the Lord Sri Krishna, was born in a cave, hidden. In the case of Jesus, you had the manifestation of spiritual, what they call angels or entities that guarded that area, that manger, and made sure that certain people around him was aware of his presence, and then yet had to take him into hiding back to Egypt. So, I mean, because the dark forces of Earth knew that a change was coming. So even though you cleared a pathway for these great cosmic beings, it still was a difficult thing to keep them here on that gross physical plane of existence. And I'm sure every temptation that can be given to them was given to them.
And I'm thinking again about the makeup of our chakra system, and the base of the spine chakra is the crown chakra for the animal kingdom, and the seat of our consciousness is a sex center, just one step above the base of the spine. So does that mean that the type of bodies we inhibit is the lowest type of humanoid body that can be inhibited by a self-aware consciousness?
Yes, it is.
That's pretty terrible if you think about it.
And then all our science, if you look, all our science is described by those two chakras, and the two chakras above that. Really, the fourth chakra, but at least those two chakras and the chakra above it. If you look at the mechanics of everything we invent, if you look at the, because when you talk about the sex center, you talk about a binary type system or energy, and when you look at it's always a positive and negative type of energy. And it's always a way to get the energy to flow. We know that the energy in the sex center flow throughout the entire body. If I'm building a house, I have to ground the house, which is Pana, which is the gross, the Muladhara chakra, the base chakra. I have to ground it. And if I don't ground it, what happens? The next stage of the energy doesn't happen, which is the energy flow throughout the house. If I don't ground that house, you cannot run electricity through that house. So what happens? You take a copper wire and you wrap it around that iron rod that's been grounded, and then it allows a free flow of energy to run through the wires of that house and give you power that house off. You know, then also the same thing with the water. You know, I need to create the proper pressure and and redirect and have an isometric type gravity flow of the water to allow the water to flow. I mean, all this stuff is based on our body weight at the level of consciousness we're working from. And that's the base chakra, the sex chakra, and the solar plexus chakra. You know, because we have to dissipate the energy and the water in the house, and that's the solar plexus. You know, we haven't got to the level where we can use, although we're reaching that to the heart chakra level, where we transmit, radiate, pull back in, and project the energy on many different levels. We haven't gotten there yet. We're getting close to it with the new technology today. But mostly we still work on a very basic binary type energy. It seems that most people can comprehend that. Anything above that is hard for them to comprehend.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned earlier that humanity has a unique karmic pattern, which is a very nice way of putting it. And Dr. King, is called as cosmic criminals. And so my question is why would a group consciousness choose to go through that experience, or why would God decide to put a part of itself through that? Like, what? There doesn't seem to be any benefit of going through the path of free will, but and so much other races throughout the entire universe realize that. Why would our race decide to go that route? Why would God put itself through that type of?
Well, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny aspect of God. We are the group consciousness, but it's the choice and the karmic field that we decided to travel down. We chose that landmine of negative karma to move through. It's not necessarily God, it's an aspect of God, which is you, I, and everyone else here. But it's the karmic pattern that we chose by the actions we made. And here we are. That's why the systems of yoga is about making the right karmic choice and choosing a pathway that unite your soul with the divine spark of God, which is your spirit, which is still a part of the absolute. So yoga means to unite yourself with God. Every system of yoga ultimate goal is to unite itself back to God. And some of the Hindus teachers, they say back to the Godhead.
But the purpose of yoga is to unite with God. Why divide from God in the first place?
It's the action that you chose. It's the free will. It is the free will. It's a free will that mankind enacted for themselves to go down this road. They had a choice to stay united with the absolute or to move into gross manifestation and choose a path. They could choose a path of freedom or free will, as Dr. George King, Mars Sector 6 stated. And what did they do? They chose a path of free will. Freedom is to go through manifestation and abide by every single law of karma in order to gain the ultimate experience throughout the gross manifestation as a God, you know, as a great aspect of God, like the lords of creation, like the lords of karma, you know, the supreme lords of creation, or a lord of creation, like the galaxy. The galaxy is actually a being, a living being. The solar system is a living being within the galaxy. So, but then they chose freedom. And we as humans chose free will, as described in the 9 freedoms. I would recommend you to go and read it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. From what I understand, most of the races throughout, especially the solar system and the galaxy universe, they chose freedom. But here comes humanity picking up free will. Well, why? Like, what benefit would there be in free will? Why did humanity go that route?
That's a question that that needs to be answered by us at one point in time. I mean, go back and study the teachings of Dr. George King. He talks about a whole race of humanoids in a galaxy that chose free will, and they're going in the opposite direction than what we are. So, and that's what the whole alien mission was about.
They produced the alien, and that's
So I mean, I think they worse off than what we are, but they're in a whole nother galaxy.
All right, Jack, I see your hand is raised. Sorry about that. Go ahead and ask your question.
No problem, man. Yeah, I just wondered, so are we holding up the evolution of our solar system and the galaxy? Can they not advance until we have caught up with?
We're told that they have chosen to hold up their development in order to aid us and many other planets similar to us, and you know, in order to guide us back to the original source. That's what we're told. Yes, they are holding up their development. Even this Earth, according to the ancient teachings, the Earth been in this holding pattern for 18,600,000 years since the so-called Melda man came here. So, I mean, she have given of herself. And lately they said that we're coming to the half-life of this Earth. So we have to begin to make a change, or a good portion of us have to leave.
What happens if, you know, many of the people don't evolve even on the new planet? You know, can the whole universe, galaxy, not go back to its until the last man is born?
You know, according to the teachings, that everyone will evolve. Even the Satan type people, they may have to, their consciousness may have to be split up and start over, but they will eventually evolve back to the Jesus, the Sri Krishna, the great lords of emissaries of God. They will become that one day.
Might take a while.
Just take a while, but by karmic law, you know, we will evolve.
So it will accelerate, you think, as more and more collective consciousness accelerates. More and more people.
Some people say it will, but you know, time is an illusion. So I like how one yogi put it, said that time will be accelerated, but they won't see the acceleration because they will experience everything that they need to experience. So, and we can see that in our lifetime too. We could see where you notice someone going through something that you already went through, and you can see every angle of what they're going through, and you can predict what's going to happen. And to you, because of your insight and level of consciousness, you see that they have an accelerated pattern of the negative stuff that they're going through, but they don't see the acceleration of it, you know. So, but you can see it because you have experienced that either personally or experienced it through someone else going through it that you had to help out or guide back to where they are, you know, where they need to be. So, you know, time is like I said, it's really an illusion. It's part of the 7 dimensions, but it's still part of Maya.
Yeah. So maybe you observing it is accelerating it as well, you know what I mean?
Well, you can measure it because your consciousness has risen above it. But the person who's going through that it may seem endless to them. It may seem like they, you know, that time is moving like a snail, you know.
I have a question from YouTube. So we chose free will as humanoids or while we existed in spirit?
Well, all of us exist in spirit. I mean, we chose it on the pathway because the spirit creates the soul, and the soul is a traveling body throughout the manifested creation. So yes, we took on the body of the soul, and at that point we decided where we would go. We would be a part of the Diva Kingdom, or we would be a part of the hierarchy of the universe or the galaxy. We made that decision. Or we will be a part of the humanoids that will have to go through many experience cycles to get back to the to the absolute. We made that decision.
Okay, everyone, I posted a link to the shared folder in the chat. So you can go ahead and download the handouts that are in that folder. Are there any further questions? Any additional questions? Is that Reggie? I think I saw you raise your hand. You can go ahead and you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, it's a very good understanding of our immortality. Is a concept that a lot of people have a problem understanding their immortal soul. I'm doing the spiritual thing for several years, and I realized that time is something, if you have an immortality sense of being, time really doesn't exist. And birth and death also is another concept that people hold close to time. I'm just wondering, how do you, to get this higher awareness, how does one tap into prana, tap into the universe through like nutrition? I think that's a big part of keeping your body and your vessel very strong, your ability to hold consciousness, raise your consciousness through nature, I guess, through food. Any suggestions for the audience?
Well, there again, I mean, nutrition is real to us. It's really an illusion too, because if you gain control over your mind and mind, what are we? We're taught in the yogic and mystic teachings that mind molds prana. Prana, prana comes directly under the control of mind energy. Mind energy is universal and is impersonal. Mind flows through the body, is not trapped in the body. But mind can take prana and trap prana in the body for eons. The soul creates this thing called the auric body. The auric body is like a nebula. And what it does, it pulls this cosmic energy into its orbit, and it traps that cosmic energy and configure that cosmic energy for 100,000 life cycles until that energy vibrates to a whole nother existence. So there again, our karmic pattern, which is made up of mind energy, and well, is made up of the four major principles of Shakti power, which is mind, which is Nani, mind, prana, and love. If we want to put it into simple terms, love energy is the energy of preservation. Prana is the five minor pranas. And then you have mind energy, which is the chitta, which is the universal mind energy, which turns to manas inside the auric body. And then you have Vishnani, which is the laws of the laws that govern all action, the wisdom and the laws that govern all actions. And those are the four major principles of Shakti power, of creative power. And the soul uses those four principles in order to build its body called the auric body that the soul resides in and uses as a traveling body for eons, for millions, maybe billions of lifetimes. And it moves throughout and it lives, that particular body exists on all realms of existence, all at once. Now, back to your basic question, yeah, nutrition is good. We have the science called the Ayurvedic science that teaches you how to mix foods, eat use plant-based life to extend your life. And of course, everything is Shakti, everything is prana. So it's the configuration of that prana. But you must go back to the simple little book written by Swami Rama in his travels to meet with the adepts and masters throughout Tibet and India. And he came across this one yogi master that told him to go gather some rocks, and told him and his friend, go get me some rocks there's a dead body down by the screen. Go and cut some meat off of that body around the thigh and bring it here. And of course, they didn't want to do it, but this was a master, so they did it with great disgust. Came back thinking, what type of person is this? And the yogi master waved his hand over these items, and they became food to eat. And then he told them, he began to teach them about science, and then about how everything comes down to its atomic structure and energy configuration, and that everything can be changed to benefit its position. But we have to have the willpower and mind to do that. So that's where the illusion come in, and that's where controlling our karmic pattern come in at as well. If we can control these things, then the sickness that come upon us, we can remove it or live through it. And that's our will. That's our willpower and mind.
One follow-up question. Samsara, you mentioned the lifetimes and the circle of life and birth.
Yeah.
Samsara, is there a way to transcend it? I mean,
Yeah.
Some of the religions. How does one do that?
Samsara is related to the wheel of rebirth at the base of the spine. In other words, we're told in the ancient tantric teachings that the soul steps on the scene, creates the auric body, calls down the great Shakti power, push it down through Shushumna and down to the solar plexus, past the solar plexus center, into the Muladhara chakra, which is the base chakra. And there, all the karmic pressures are placed on this Shakti power, and it says Shiva reveals itself. When it says Shiva reveals itself, it says that the Shakti power moves into a dormant state of Kundalini, and it releases a song, and then you have basic consciousness. And that basic consciousness has to move through cycles of rebirth in order to experience full consciousness again. So then the yogis of the principles of yoga is given to the basic life form. And in that basic life form, what the principles of yogas tell us that in order to break the wheel of rebirth, we must develop concentration, contemplation, and meditation. And in our meditation, we'll be able to through the 8 limbs of yoga and Kundalini yoga and Tantra yoga, looming these yogas together, we will be able to concentrate and contemplate the energies of the body, which is the release energies from the song of the dormant Kundalini. We'll be able to take control over these energies, take these energies, push it back down to the Muladhara chakra, unlock the full power of Kundalini, and push this Kundalini up to the up throughout all the chakras, opening each chakra, and bringing about a meditation on each chakra back up to the crown chakra. And once we reach the crown chakra, we break the wheel of rebirth. Samsara is no longer a lesson for us to learn in an unconscious state. Now we learn it in a conscious state. So, and that's what Jesus did through his ascension. That's what Buddha did through his ascension. And that's what Sri Krishna did through his ascension. They broke the wheel of rebirth and became a part of the spiritual hierarchy of Earth.
Thank you.
Okay, Lawrence, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I just
Hello.
wanted to know. I just wanted to know: is there a way to manipulate our willpower?
What do you mean by manipulate willpower?
Because I see things like manipulate our willpower to do spiritual activities for longer periods of time.
Well, your willpower, your real willpower is the I am, or the I within you. The I am within you is you. It's the real you. It's the spirit. It's the divine spark of God. That's where willpower comes from, right? And the only way willpower is really unmeasurable, but it's measurable because it's being exerted onto the soul. The soul is the I of you. Now, in yoga and the Raja Yoga teachings, they teach us that the I am is the divine spark of God, which is the real you, which is the part of you that never left the absolute. And then the I part of you is the soul, which is traveling through multiple reincarnations in order to evolve and manage the manifested part of you through creation. Because the spirit was never manifested. The spirit was always here. It was always a part of God. So willpower is the amount of how can I say that? It's the amount of spirit and sense that you have to move forward to progress, for lack of better terminology. So, when you come to a person, you instinctively govern that person through the 7 dimensions, whether you understand the 7 dimensions or not. You look at the willpower or the motivation that person have, the power that person have to achieve whatever it wants to achieve. You look at the mind of that person and see what level of mind power they have. You look at their motion to see how they move and maneuver themselves through life. And you look at their age, and their age is governed by their experience, and then which is time. And then you look at the physical makeup of that person, length, breadth, and height. Everyone does that, whether they realize it or not. And that determines your opinion of that person. So your willpower is dictated by you. How much you want what you want, and how fast you want to achieve it. And that's that's the thing that determines how much energy and time that you give it, how much mind power you give it, how much movement you give it, how much time you give it. All that's determined by you.
Right. I see this because when I do things for a game, I can put more time and energy towards it. So I see how your statement is true.
Yeah, I mean, go back and look. Have you studied or read The 9 Freedoms?
I have not studied it, but I do have it.
Yeah, take a weekend or 2 and read it and study it. In there, there's what's it, chapter 4, Dwayne, talks about enlightenment.
Yeah, the 4th freedom is
the 4th
bravery,
freedom.
love, service, enlightenment.
And he describes enlightenment in his commentary as the ability to to predetermine all your actions.
Mm.
And really, I mean, we were actually taught that anybody who was into science was taught that you know, through our planning, if you want to develop something or build something, you map out and predetermine all your actions going forward. And you constantly go back and always recheck and recalibrate. So the thing I'm telling you, your willpower will be determined by you predetermining all your actions. And how you predetermine all your action, if you want to give more time to developing yourself or you know, spiritually, then you have to map out a plan. You have to predetermine all your action. Get rid of anything that's holding you back, anything that's pulling away from yourself, anything that's stopping you from achieving what you need to achieve. You seem to be a pretty young guy.
I'm 23.
You're 23?
Yes.
Yeah, at 23 years of age, I did not watch television. I got rid of television. I was into music. I was heavy into music. I got rid of all music. And I spent you know, 6, 8, sometime up to 10 hours a day from the time I was around 16, 17 up to about 24, 25. You know, I gave up all those things.
Did you like just give it up because why did you give it up?
So that I can practice metaphysics and yoga and you know, and do my yoga practice and concentration. You know, I even regulated my sex life. I became a celibate for about 7 years. So, I mean, and I threw all my energy and time in trying to develop and learn as much as I can learn. You know, and really I thought I had failed after I did it all those years, but I was able to achieve certain things, but I didn't get to the height that I wanted to get to. But when I went out into the world and began to teach, I learned that maybe I did go a little further than most people. You know, because I was upset that most people didn't understand and didn't see the things that I seen. But you can make the time. You just have to predetermine all your actions.
Okay.
And that's how I predetermined my actions. I gave up a lot of stuff in order to put more time into what I needed to do, and what I was trying to achieve at that time. And that type of attitude went on with my life, you know. But you have to balance yourself too. So, you know, like Reggie was talking about, eating right, sleeping right, or you know, those things I failed at. Although I was a strict vegetarian, in fact, I never ate meat in my life. Mm-hmm. But I would get so intense in what I was doing that I may not eat for days. And that's not good, you know. And if I really had a good session of whatever I was doing, I didn't sleep. So you have to bring focus back in your life and don't go crazy in doing what you're doing. Just give it a time and balance all aspects of your life.
Okay. Okay.
I hope that answered your question.
That completely answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, are there any further questions? There's a comment in the chat. I would say willpower is the ratio of the spirit/soul or higher self desire versus the basic self desire. So okay. And so if there are no, well, we've kind of did a lot today and went pretty deep today. Let me move this up. Let's see. And so I guess we can finish up the handout, and a lot of what we've been talking about today goes back to this involution and evolution. So I think this would be a good place to end today's session. The next class, we talk a lot about karma today as well. So next discussion will go into the karma diagrams. Let's see, starting here at the top, so this active flow of Kundalini within the body acts as a vehicle of consciousness. It takes advantage of the bombardment of energies from the sun, earth, and moon upon the chakra system. The Kundalini energies flowing through the nadis manipulate the chakra energies to form several levels of consciousness, forming basic life. Subtle forces that are manipulated are the 5 major pranas, the 5 bhutas, the 5 minor pranas, the nada vibrations, and the tattvic energies, the tattvic rays, chitta energies, and mana energies. And so last time we talked about the dormant Kundalini, which blocks the doorway Sushumna, and now we're talking about the active Kundalini. What differentiates, Nehemiah, between the dormant and active Kundalini that flows within the bodies?
The dormant Kundalini in the body is manipulated by in a task-oriented way by the devas, according to the mind, the configuration of mind or karma. So our goal is to take control over this dormant power through the control of mental energy and vital energy. And that's what the whole 8 limbs of yoga is about. And so that's the great difference, if you can understand that.
So you said that the dormant Kundalini is activated through the devas via a task assigned to it by the mental energies imposed.
Yeah. So in other words, the Kundalini goddess is brought online, right, by the circumstances of the Muladhara chakra, right?
Mm-hmm.
The pressures of karma forces the Shakti power to go dormant and creates the 3.5 energy configuration, or what we call 3.5 knot, and then we call that Kundalini. And then that Kundalini releases a sound vibration, because that's all it can do at that stage. But the sound vibration is a mental and vital configuration of 2 parts of his 3-part energy. In other words, because Sushumna is left locked with within the Brahmanata, but Ida and Pingala is roams free as a mental flow of energy and and a vital flow of energy. And it moves through and create what we call the nadis, which is a flow of energy, of mental energy and a vital energy. And those energies create a geometric pattern around the 108 chakras within the auric body. And with the greater concentration of configuration within the major chakra system within the auric body, along the spinal column, and the hand and feet region and head region. So that's dormant and is governed by sound. Sound is consciousness, in which that's what makes Kundalini the vehicle of consciousness. And also with sound, you have a great presence of what?
Consciousness.
Of the diva.
The divas, yeah.
Of the diva kingdom. And because you have this vital energy that responds to the Mahabhutas and the 5 major pranas, 5 minor pranas, you have solids, liquid, heat, light, and fire, air, and ether, all present in this sound energy that configures that the nadis are configured into. Right? You understand? Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the difference.
So could it be said that the goals or one of the purposes of yoga is to allow us to exercise enough mental energy to thereby put a demand for the full rays of Kundalini?
To do what now?
To be able to exercise or exert enough mental energies to create a demand for a full raise of Kundalini in order or to take full control over Kundalini.
I mean, that's our goal. Our main goal is to gain control over the Kundalini up and down the spinal column. Because once we achieve that, then we can bring about we can bring about ascension. We can, at any time we choose to, once we can move the energy fully from the base of the spine up to the Christ chakra, which some people call the third eye. At that point, you can make a decision to move the Kundalini to the crown chakra, and shortly after that, you can break the wheel of rebirth.
And so you say here that the active flow of Kundalini takes advantage of the bombardment of energies from the sun, earth, and moon upon the chakra system. So what does that mean? Is it
mean that our common configuration, every time we consciously make a decision, and that decision, we think a thought, and that thought is moved into actions, we have manipulated that chitta mind energy into manas, and that creates a samskara. And that samskara creates a pull on the cosmic energies, or the tabic energies, the tabic matter of the earth, moon, and solar system, and sun. So that becomes a lesson that we must learn, because the great sacrifices made by the great solar lords, or what they call in the ancient teachings Vishnu, You know, they sacrifice themselves for millions of, of, of lifetimes, hundreds of thousands of lifetimes of our lifetime, to manipulate the energy coming from the sun to us so that we can have the experience we have. So when we choose to create negative energy, then we create a negative pattern that we must correct, whether in this life or 10 lives to come. We must correct it. By karmic law, we must bring those energies to a higher level.
Okay, Bronze Yogi is the text is called The Nine Freedoms. I'll post a link to it, to the book in the chat in a second. You also go on to say the Kundalini energies flowing through the nadis manipulates the chakra energies to form several levels of consciousness, forming basic life. So does that mean all life forms have a Kundalini flow, or even, well, yeah, or do all life forms have a type of Kundalini flow?
Yeah, it does. Yes.
And so I guess that would also assume that everything has its own particular nodic structure, and depending on what level of consciousness it operates from.
Yes. The solar system have nadis. The earth have nadis. The galaxy have nadis. So everything have a nadi structure.
Okay, so the subtle forces that are manipulated are the five major pranas, the five bhutas, the five mana pranas, nata vibrations, tattvic rays, chitta energies, and the mana energies. So is Kundalini manipulating all these forces within the auric structure?
Yes, because those energies have to work through the nadis and through the chakras. And you know the chakras are nothing but nadi knots.
Right.
For us, at least.
Okay. All right, so we'll scroll down further on the diagram, and we'll look at the depiction of how the pranas flow, how the major flows of prana for the five major pranas. If you come down here at the bottom, you'll see a description of each prana. The first is Udana, which is this dark blue. That this subtle flow of energies travels through the head, arms, and legs. Then we have prana, which is in this green. There's a flow of energy that flows down from the heart chakra and towards the base and back to the heart chakra. Samana in yellow. This subtle flow of energies operates from the solar plexus and is a conjunction point of all pranas. You can see that here in the diagram. It kind of circulates throughout the solar plexus. Dhyana, I guess that's orange-ish color. A flow of energies traveling from the sex chakra throughout the entire body. And Apana, in red, the flow of energies that travels from the base of the spine chakra up to the heart chakra and back to the base of the spine chakra. Now, if we go back to the diagram, see there's two black arrows on the one at the rear of the body that's pointing upwards, called evolution, and at the front of the body pointing downwards, called involution. Could you explain the difference between evolution and involution and why the arrows are pointing in these directions for each?
In the yogi system, the who said it best? I'm trying to think. The back of the body is used to raise Kundalini, you know, and create a greater awareness. And when you raise the power Kundalini, you can open each chakra and you do a meditation on each petal. And this bring about a control of the realms of existence of that particular chakra, which leads you to adeptship and eventually mastership. The front of the body is an energy that brings about involution and excites the senses in the wrong way. It's energy of glamour, of passion, of hatred, malice, greed, jealousy. All these exist within the three Lord chakras: the base, the sex, and the solar plexus. When you get to the heart chakra, these things, what they call impurity traits, are canceled out by love energy, by one of the first stages of love energy. So the front of the body represents evolution and the back of the body represents evolution. And the more you get into the studies of metaphysics or yoga, the yogic metaphysics and mystic, you'll see reference to that over and over and over and over again.
You know, and you've also told us in the past that it also refers to the Kundalini flow. And when, you know, like you're saying, raising Kundalini, the back of the body, the spine is through Sushumna, is evolution. And when it's pushed to the front of the body, the knives in the front of the body, that's that involution.
Yeah, that's when you practice in type of so-called black magic or evil magic or whatever you want to call it, you know, in order to create negative spells on people or mistreat people in a certain negative way. The energy is raising in the front of the body. It's not raising in the Kundalini is operating from the front of the body. It's not operating from the back of the body. So the back of the body energy is totally impersonal. The front of the body energy is personal, and it is linked to vanity, to glamour, to selfishness. Is linked to all the negatives. And that's what the people who practice Satanistic type practices. That's what, like Aleister Crowley, they focus on raising Kundalini in the front of the body. So, but people who follow the principles of the great yogis, they bring about a restraint on their thoughts, their actions, and they focus on devotion to God, on loving everyone, because there's only one life, and that one life is God, and everything came from God, and they move to raise the Kundalini through Sushumna in the back of the body.
So when the Shakti power descended Sushumna to coil itself and to become the Kundalini, was that an act of involution?
Say that again. When the Shakti power did what?
When the Shakti power pushed down Sushumna and coiled itself in the Muladhara chakra to become Kundalini, was that an act of involution?
Yes, that's an act of involution. Consciously, that was conscious involution by the soul. That's the choice. The soul was choosing free will, not freedom.
It doesn't seem like the right choice to me.
It was your choice. Tell yourself that.
So in this diagram, you have the flows of the major pranas along with evolution and involution. Why did you include them together?
Because it's how you manipulate those energies that bring about involution or evolution. It's the manipulation of those pranas, because it's mind over energy and matter that creates the action. So you have a thought. The thought is the first part where you have intent. The intent is the first part of that action. The thought is the second part of that action. And then the manipulation of the energy to manifest it on one of the realms of existence is the third part of that action. And the fourth part of that action is the reaction is coming back at you.
So as we evolve, those pranic flows change and alter within the bodies?
Yeah, because you stop pulling on the mind substance that's within the that field of impurity. So you have that you have the chart that talks about the 20, 21, or 20 impurity traits. You don't have it? You have the book of charts, right? There's one of the charts there that I gave to the class a long time ago. It lists either 20 or 21 impurity traits. You found it? I can't hear you.
There's a question here saying, what is karmic law?
Did you find a chart?
Yeah, I'm looking for the chart, but I'm just gonna go over some questions while I'm looking for it.
Oh, okay. It's called, if you go back to the original individual diagrams, it's called impurity traits. Karmic law is the law given to us by God. There was a framework of all creation is placed in a framework of laws, and it's the laws of movement. If we move in any direction, it calls a reaction, and that's the laws of karma. If I bring two things together, it calls a reaction. If you take water and you place a tea bag in the water, and the water turns the color of the tea, and you drink it, it doesn't taste like water anymore. It tastes like the tea. Now the tea can be bitter, or the tea can be sweet. You add a sweetener to it, and you have the tea. You have a sweet tea or a bitter tea. That's the actions, and the law dictates those things. If you bring oxygen and hydrogen together, you produce water. So it's the law of karma, along with Nani yoga, or the law of Nani, which Nani is the wisdom of the law, and karma is the action of the law. So that's what karma is. Yeah, so this chart here it lists, it's supposed to be 21. I think I missed one, but it's supposed to be like 21 major impurity traits that's lodged within the three lower chakras. And when we push Kundalini up the front of the body without eliminating these type of impurities, our actions are discolored with the wrong mind energy. So in yoga, we have to stamp out these impurities. We have to bring them under control. The first part of yoga is yama, which is control your thoughts and actions. DeWitt,
Yeah.
remind me to send you the updated chart because I think we have one with 21 on it.
I think there might be an updated one here. No, I don't have it here. Okay, there's another question. Does all of this relate to becoming a deity somehow in any system of practice?
In what type of practice?
In any system of practice? I guess does everything what we were discussing today relate to becoming a deity in any system of practice?
I don't know what they mean by deity. I mean, deity take on certain and under certain teachers, it takes on a different meaning. If they mean a devatar, yes. When I say devatar, meaning that devatar, my understanding is that is one who only moves to the will of God. A devatar is like an ascended master, or risen like Jesus or Sri Krishna or Buddha, where they only move when it's absolutely necessary to move, and they move at the will of God, meaning that they do all their actions is to bring about a greater purpose. So if that's what they mean, then yes.
When did we choose this free will?
When?
Yeah, the question's asked. When did we choose this free will?
I think I answered that earlier when we stepped on the manifested level of existence. The unmanifested level of existence is when we were part of the whole, part of the spirit. The spirit is always part of the absolute. When there was nothing unmanifest, when we had no soul. Once the spirit created a soul as a traveling aspect within the manifest creation or manifested realms of existence, then we made a choice, freedom or free will. Now, once we become a spiritual hierarchy of Earth, then once we become a master, which leads to ascension, which is a spiritual hierarchy of Earth, we have chosen freedom at that point. All our actions have led us to choose freedom at that point. So now we're back on the projector to be united with the absolute.
And here's another diagram where you list more of the impurities. I think you have 20.
It's
listed.
supposed to be 21, but I think I have one that corrected it.
I think so too, yeah. Okay, let's see if there are any final questions before we close out today's session. Let's say that. Oh, wait, one question I was asking earlier. So if we were to raise Kundalini to the heart center, the prana and apana that flows back and forth between the heart chakra and the base of the spine, does that flow stop, or do they flow in a different area of the
Well,
body?
the goal is to unite that energy. When you raise it to the heart chakra, you become an adept because you have united the energy, the flow of the apana and the prana. And that's your goal, is to unite that energy so that you can move your consciousness to the higher level of the heart chakra and throat chakra.
Okay. And that will complete our study of this, a brief look at the chakra system and flow of prana diagram. You still feel free to review it, and if you have any other additional questions, you can bring them in another open discussion, or you can email them to us. Next time, we'll take a look at this karma yoga diagram. Both this one and the karmic framework diagram. So go ahead and take a look at those, become familiar with them, and we'll have discussions on them next few open discussions. Are there any final questions before we close out today's class? Are there humans who exist on higher dimensions on Earth or higher chakra levels? Is that what is meant by the spiritual hierarchy?
The spiritual hierarchy is ascendant masters. Those masters, those individuals that was once on our level of existence, that broke the wheel of rebirth by raising Kundalini all the way up to the crown chakra. They were able to reconfigure all the auric energies within the body and create a risen body, which allowed them to live in one body throughout all the realms of existence. In other words, that risen body can move into the lower astral realms, or the physical realms, or the higher astral and etheric realms at will. They didn't have to project a part of their consciousness there. So that's the difference. Now, dimensions, say realms, don't say dimensions, because every realm have at least 7 dimensions. The chakras are not dimensions. The chakras are realms of existence. And each realm have at least 7 dimensions, and I described them earlier. And there's a lecture tape that I give on the 7 dimensions. And you can also learn about the 7 dimensions from the Theory Society. Dr. George King gave a tape on the 7 dimensions as well. To your question, yes, the spiritual hierarchy, they live on the higher realms of this earth, and then you have the adepts and masters that live on the higher etheric realms, waiting rebirth here on this earth as well. And because there's not a lot of opportunity for the adepts and masters to be reborn here on earth. So there's a waiting list to allow these beings that have developed themselves to be reborn to finish their journey here. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and close out today's class. If everybody can see and clearly read the prayer. Okay. Also, you can RSVP and get access to all of these notes via our meetup. It's meetup.mysticknowledge.org. There you'll find announcements for all of our classes, as well as some saved files. And you may, and I think even on one of our files, this prayer is uploaded there. So. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up and in doing so receive their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing, granted energy to sing on forever and forever. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your questions and your attention. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
We meet again at 7, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'll see you at 7.